Secret number 3 is the 5 things you have to do and the 5 things you should never do after a car crash, right? And like I said earlier, these things are case makers or case breakers. They are literally that important. Now, I can virtually guarantee that you have heard some of these before, but I am telling you, people repeat these things all the time and they forget to do them or they do them anyway when they're under the pressure of a recent car crash. So let's talk about the 5 things to do after every car accident first, okay? These are things that you have to do every time. So starting with number 1, after every car accident case, you have to make a police report. Now, I had a lady call me after being involved in a car crash, and she didn't make a police report. And I told her, well, did you get the other driver's info? She's like, well, I got his first name. Did you get his driver's license? Did you get his plate number? Oh, well, I took a picture of it with my phone. Well, you should probably go get a police report. Of course, she waited about a week, and the local police, this wasn't Chicago police, this was in a suburb, they wouldn't do a report because they had a police policy of, I think it was like 48 hours. You had to report an accident 48 hours or they wouldn't do a report for you. Well, here's the problem. She lost her cell phone. So now she had a make and model of car, an approximate year, but no plate number, no last name of a defendant, no VIN number, no license plate number, no insurance information, nothing. No police investigation. And that is really the key reason why you have to have a police report after every car accident case. Some insurance policies actually require you to have a police report before they'll even fix your car. So your own insurance company might not be willing to fix your car unless you make a police report. Those are usually the really crummy insurance companies, but it's so important for that reason, but also because we need this information in order to locate who the other driver was if they're not cooperating. And believe it or not, they don't cooperate a lot. A lot of times people who are involved in a car crash, they disappear on you, or, they're like, oh, I'm in a hurry, here's my information, or here, take a picture. You lose your cell phone or your cell phone breaks, and you're out of luck. So always make a police report after a car crash. The second thing you always have to do is keep your cool and talk to the police calmly after the crash. So true story, I represented a lady in a car crash case where a defendant turned left in front of her, and her kid was in the car, her young child was in the car. The child was okay, child didn't get hurt. Her neck hurt. She had a little bit of a bad neck to begin with, but she literally got out of her car and pulled out her cell phone and started recording her talking to the police officer and the other driver. And this is what the video revealed. It revealed that the other driver was calm and talking to the police officer respectfully. The police officer was calm and talking to both other drivers respectfully. But the lady who called me to represent her was very aggressive, very emotionally upset, and was like yelling at the other driver, yelling at the police officer, accusing the police officer of not being fair, this sort of thing. And I'm going to tell you, police officers are human beings too, and they have a stressful job, and you are not doing yourself any favors by getting out of the car and hassling the police officer. So really good advice. You can guess what happened on the police report. When we got the police report, even though it was clear as day the other driver caused the crash, my lady got listed as Unit 1. When you're listed as Unit 1 on a police report in the state of Illinois, it means the reporting police officer thinks you caused the crash. Now, the reason she got put as Unit 1 on the police report, I believe, is because she got out of her car very aggressively, very upset, and, the police officer didn't even want to talk to her. He told her, go stand by your car. And that was it. And then he spent the rest of the time talking to the other driver. Well, if the other driver is speaking to the police officer calmly, whose version do you think is going to end up on that police report, right? So super, super important to keep your head. And even though whether you're listed as Unit 1 or 2 on a police report ultimately isn't going to make any difference at trial, it can make a difference as to whether we get an offer on your case. And most people I represent actually would prefer for a case to settle if it's in a fair amount. But you're putting yourself behind the 8 ball if you wrongly, based on your behavior, get listed as Unit 1, right? So keep your cool and be respectful. The third thing you always have to do is if you're hurt, or even if you think you might be hurt, or you have a pain or a twinge or anything, super important for you to seek medical care immediately. Now look, if you're not hurt, don't go to the doctor, right? But if you feel a pull in your neck, or a pull in your back, or a pull in your shoulder, or you have an old injury that is now not feeling quite right, there is nothing wrong with you going the day of the crash or the day after and getting checked out. Nobody's going to penalize you for it. Now look, this is coming from a guy who doesn't like going to the doctor. I was involved in a motor vehicle crash and I broke my own rule. I didn't go to the doctor. And guess what? I had neck and shoulder pain for 3 weeks that luckily went away. But I was stubborn and I didn't want to take the time out of my life. But the problem is a neck or a back or a shoulder pain that ends up being a permanent problem or a serious problem initially feels the same as one that goes away. And you don't know which is which until time has passed. So you have to act, remember what we were talking about before, to make the insurance company fear you so that they'll treat you fairly. We have to line the case up as cleanly as possible. So if you're hurt or you're experiencing any pain, get into a doctor and make sure it gets documented as soon as you can, okay? So the fourth thing you always have to do is make sure that you report all injuries to the doctor after a car crash. This is a very frustrating one because here's what happens. I represented a lady who hurt her right knee, her low back, and her neck. Her neck in the emergency room was the worst complaint. Okay, so the emergency room documents her neck and her low back. They don't document the knee. They give her ibuprofen and Norco and a muscle relaxer. She takes a couple weeks off work. The pain is not going away. The pain in her neck and back go down a little bit, but her knee is still bothering her. So 2 weeks later, she goes to her family doctor. Despite the fact that she actually claims that she reported the knee at the emergency room, the medical records show that her first complaint of knee pain was to her family doctor 2 weeks after the accident. Now, that may not sound like a big deal, but the truth is, what actually happens is insurance companies love it if all of your complaints are not documented at every medical provider. Because then, guess what they argue? They say, oh, well, maybe she hurt her neck and maybe she hurt her back, but there's no documentation of her knee. And the first time she complains of knee is 2 weeks after. How are we supposed to know how she hurt her knee? Those doctors and those paramedics are super thorough. If she hurt her knee, it would be reported in there. Right? Now, I don't really think that was my client's fault. That's just a thing where sometimes medical records aren't that accurate, but that's why I always tell my patients, make sure that every doctor you visit is documenting every injury, because otherwise it becomes an opportunity for an insurance defense lawyer to argue that you're trying to tack on an unrelated injury and add it to your car crash case. Even though we know it's not true, we just have to do these things to protect you from the dirty tricks they play. And finally, the last thing that you have to do in every car crash case, after every injury in a car crash, is you have to document your injuries and car damage with photos and video. So the law in Illinois is that photos of car damage are presumptively admissible. That means if you have photos, if you get out of your car and you take photos of a terrible impact to your car, it is more likely than not that the judge is going to let the jury see them. But if you don't have photos of the car damage, guess what? Focus group research says they blame us. They blame the injured guy. If the injured guy doesn't show photos of a damaged car, the jury gets mad at us and they think that we're making a case up. Believe it or not. Is that crazy? It's a little crazy. Is it fair? No. But that's what focus groups show. And it's like we talked a little bit about before. Like if you have an arm sling because your shoulder's out of joint, you have bruises on your face or cuts on your face because the windshield shattered, or a broken bone or surgery or a scar, photos of that stuff and photos taken during the time you're healing worth their weight in gold. So always do that. And really, we live in the age of really good cell phone cameras. Even lower end phones have pretty darn good cameras in them. And we're walking around with those cameras all the time everywhere. So not too many excuses not to do that. And it can really, really help your case if you do it. Okay? So those are the 5 things you... Thanks for watching. If you or anyone you know has been hurt in an accident and needs a lawyer or even just has questions, give me a call anytime, day or night, at 312-500-4500. You can call me anytime, day or night, and the consultation is free. That's 312-500-4500. Or if you're not ready to talk to a lawyer, I made 2 great tools that really help people out that you can use for free on my website. The links are in the description. The first one is is called the Case Cash Calculator, and it tells you what your case might be worth. The other is called the Good Case Calculator, and it tells you whether you might have a good case or you might have a case with some challenges. The best part is that they're 100% free to use on my website, and it only takes you 20 seconds flat to answer 7 multiple choice questions right off the top of your head. And then you get custom information about your particular injury situation fast and for free. So check them out, links in the description. If you enjoyed the video, please consider giving it a like and subscribing to my channel. I release 2 new videos every week, and this way you'll get notice of them. And if you have a question you'd like answered in a video, just leave a comment with your question in the comments section. Finally, if you enjoy my videos or if I've helped you in any way, I hope you'll consider doing me a favor. Injury law is a very competitive field, and I like having a small independent firm so I can help people who need it. People really rely on Google reviews when deciding who to hire, so I hope you'll consider leaving me a 5-star review on Google. It only takes a few seconds, but it's a favor to me that I would really appreciate. The link is in the description. You just go to that link, click 5 stars, say a kind word, hit submit, and you're done. Once again, I hope you and your family are well, and if anyone you know needs an injury lawyer or has questions, please send them my way by calling 312-500-4500. Thanks again for watching. Take care.